Hello and welcome, welcome to Live with Jesse and Melva. Jesse is here. He's going to join us in just a second. I'm so happy that you joined us and looking forward to our next step in this process. Actually, we're taking you through a process of what one partner in a relationship went through in dealing with years and years and years and years of betrayal, her husband having affairs, apologizing, promising that he wasn't going to do it again, and has not been true. So we're taking you step by step through her journey because we know that there are many people, not everybody, but there's many people who have suffered betrayal in some form or another. So in this situation, we are sharing the story and the journey of a woman that we're calling Veronica. And there's many Veronicas in the world. And there are so many layers to what it is that she's dealing with. We thought that we would take the time to take you, our audience, through those layers so that you can have some idea about what you could implement in your own situation if you're going with if you're going through something like that. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to do 5 things, and it's the category of 5 things that we've done over the series and we'll continue to do. We're going to share Veronica's story, the story about her journey, part 4. And first, we're going to start off talking about her plan. And then we realize, well, before we share her plan with you, that it's important for us to share her starting point. Because to get clear about where you want to go, and she does know where she wants to go. She has a vision of where she wants to go. We covered that last time. Excuse me. She needs to know, excuse me, where she is at her starting point, so that each time that she takes steps toward manifesting her vision, that she will know the mile markers of success that she's accomplishing along the way. And there's so many times that you talk about how important it is that when you are focused on a goal and you're moving forward, that is so important to celebrate like every step along the way so that you build momentum. Do I have that? Over close to me. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little more about that. And and this is one of the tools for her growth and transformation. We're going to give you an opportunity to see how you can apply what Veronica did to your own situation. And then we're going to give you a preview of part 5 of the journey. And we're still going to extend invitations for personal consultations to help you to get a jump start, because we are in the process of developing an online course to support couples to take action, jumpstart action on having more success in their relationship by becoming more proactive. And we'll continue to share information with you about that along the way. So let's review. So what we know for sure is that what has been accomplished so far. So the first thing that has been accomplished so far, Jesse, is what?
To create a safe space for inner reflection.
Veronica did that, and yes, that was probably the very first steps that she took, right?
Mm-hmm. And then asked and answered questions about what she could and could not change.
Yeah. And, a lot of people get stuck on this part because they're so focused on the other person changing. And that usually doesn't work. Or if they do change, it's like a temporary change and they go back to being who they are, especially if it's a change that they have not committed to. Even if they said that this is something that they're going to do so that life is better, for them and the other person if they don't have, what is the phrase? Um, I'll think of it later on. Me and these metaphors, I tell you. Um, if they don't have a stake in it, that's not the word I was looking for. If they don't have a stake in it, if there's not a payoff that they can really see for themselves, they're really not going to do it. So being in touch with she could and could not change, she's been focusing on, with that awareness, she's been focusing on what she can change. And that's what we have been supporting her with and sharing with you. Um, so one of the things that she could change that we focused on last time, well, one was to have a safe place, and then answer those questions. And the third was to have a vision. So now she has a vision. So she knows where it is that she wants to go in this process. And you may have noticed that we're not dealing with Vernon yet. This is all about Veronica. She needs to take the time to think things through for herself. And when she does that, she can make a decision that is best for her. And if Vernon wants to join her in that process, maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Right.
But either way,
she's gonna be okay.
She's gonna be all right. She's gonna be okay. Absolutely. So let's look at the gap. So it's so important for Veronica to clarify the gap. So she knows that she wants to navigate from, transform from, grow from feeling so angry so often to feeling consistently peaceful. She knows that she wants to navigate from feeling hopeless. She's feeling hopeless because she's invited this man that she loves to change, and he hasn't changed. She wants to shift from that to becoming more hopeful. Because sometimes what it is that we want from the other person that we can't depend on, sometimes we lose hope for what is possible anyway. Mm-hmm. So she wants to shift from feeling hopeless to hopeful. And then she wants to shift from feeling powerless, because she does feel powerless. You know, actually, she gave all of her power to Vernon.
Right.
When, he would lie to her and tell her that he was going to do something different and didn't. And so when that didn't work, she was flooded with those feelings of powerlessness. So that's her focus. We're just focusing on 3 feelings that she had that she wants to change. And so any decision that she makes about what she's going to do has to be in alignment with feeling peaceful, hopeful, and powerful.
And just remember that no one can take your joy unless you give it to them.
Right.
So she's taking her power back and her joy so that she did not have to depend on him or anyone else for that matter for her joy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And her joy can be embedded in 5 different areas. We can look at that in 5 different areas of her starting point. So when she looks at the 5 areas that we discussed last time, in terms of where she stands emotionally, in terms of managing her feelings and her thoughts and her health and her connection, her spiritual connection, that supports how she's going to be proactive in dealing with Vernon. When the first step was that she identified them. So now in this process, she is going to identify where she is starting on a scale of 1 to 10. So the first step is taking a look at where she is on a scale of 1 to 10 in managing her feelings. I mean, Veronica, like many of us, when she gets triggered, she's just flooded with a lot of negative feelings. And it is natural. It's what happens. And when that does happen, it's important to anticipate that you could do something about it. You don't have to be mired in negative feelings.
Right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So when she looks at where she's starting, and she's looking at her last outburst with Vernon, on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of managing her feelings, I would imagine on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you imagine she would rank her starting point with that? Because she gets really, really upset. I mean, her feelings just take over.
Well, I imagine it gets pretty intense, and so therefore the feelings would be very intense, and she would be extremely upset that is starting out until she decides that she doesn't want to feel that way and that she has control over her feelings and that she can do something about that.
Okay, so she's not there yet. So I would say in terms of managing her feelings, I would say maybe her starting point is maybe uh maybe a 4
Okay.
on a scale of 1 to 10. Because when she gets to peaceful, she's going to be at a 10. Yeah. In terms of managing her thoughts on a scale of 1 to 10, because negative feelings lead to negative thoughts. And the problem is, not only does she have negative thoughts about Vernon, she also has negative thoughts about herself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she beats up on herself. She criticizes herself for settling, for having an experience that she did not invite into her life, for being in this relationship for all of these years and nothing has changed. So she is giving herself a hard time while she's thinking about how wrong Vernon is. And he is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
No question about it. He is wrong. So right now, her thoughts in terms of managing her thoughts, I would say that her thoughts are geared toward being a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the thoughts of a victim. I mean, she has been victimized in terms of circumstance, but she's not thinking about herself about being victorious yet. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably say maybe another 4.
Okay.
And then there's her health. A lot of times when people are upset, they neglect their health. They don't get enough sleep because they can't sleep, because they're thinking about what they're dealing with over and over and over again. It's like one of the things that keep them up all night.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is they lose their appetite sometimes, or when they get hungry, they don't eat nutritious food. They eat junk food.
Right. Right.
I don't know why Twinkies came to mind, but I don't even know if they still sell Twinkies.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Okay, so they still sell Twinkies. So there's Twinkies, there's potato chips, there's ice cream, there's like all kind of mommy foods, so to speak, macaroni and cheese. But if they have to prepare it, they don't do that. Well, no, they don't do that. That's not nutritious. that would be good and that would be nutritious, but that's not the first thing that comes with. But anything that's fast and anything that's soothing. So she's a good cook too. I mean, she's a phenomenal cook, but she doesn't have the energy to do that. So I would say that starting off in terms of managing her physical health. Oh, and this woman does yoga. She does she does yoga, and she also does that strength training kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She is not doing her yoga. She's not doing her strength training. She's feeling weaker in her body. So I would say 4. What would you say?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. And I would also add that this whole experience over these years where she felt cheated on and so forth has taken away some of her belief that she has the ability to change things, basically to change him. But when she can't get him to do what she's asked him to do, then she starts feeling powerless. And that's not a good feeling.
Right. Right. That's true. So let's look at spirituality.
All right.
Now she's a very spiritual person. I mean, she gets prayed up. Well, she before this last time. I mean, when she's in this mindset, um, she abandons her daily spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is because she's not getting enough sleep, and when she does get sleep, it's like later on in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then she's sleeping late, and then she's late to work, and so and she tells herself, I didn't do my prayers today, I didn't do my meditation today, I didn't do my reading today, I didn't, you know, so she didn't do any of that. So I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say maybe that's a 4, because she's just way off in terms of because when she's not in the situation, she's showing up in all these areas. And then the last area is being proactive. So right now, the only thing that she does is she's very reactive to Vernon. I mean, she's just so upset, so and rightfully so upset. But anything that she says to him is from a place of anger, and that's the feeling that she wants to shift to being more peaceful. So if we add up, is that 24? That 24 out of 100. 8, 16. No, it's 20. So that's 20. Is that right, Brian? 20. Oh, I'm good at counseling, not in math. So anyway, so on a scale of, so now if you look at the big number, on a scale of 1 to 100, she's at a 20. Now, she could give herself a really hard time about that. It's not a good idea. She just needs to know where she is so that when she is focused on her vision and it's time to take the action steps that we're going to talk about next time, that she can stay focused so that she knows that when she gets flooded with feelings, that her plan is going to support her to manage those feelings.
Right.
She knows that when she starts thinking negative, and she knows that she can get to that place, she knows that with her plan that we're going to talk about next time, that she can stay focused and she can shift her thoughts so that she is feeling powerful and hopeful. She knows that when she's not taking care of herself, she knows that she's at the starting point, and she knows that when she's regressing, when she's focused on her journey toward manifesting her vision, she knows I need to do this whether I feel like it or not, so I can stay on track. She knows that spiritually, when she ignores taking care of her spiritual life, she knows that when she does not do that, then she's not feeling hopeful because she's not feeling connected to her spiritual source. And then in terms of preparing to her day to day with Vernon while she gets this figured out, she knows that if she just keeps snapping and what have you, I mean, because she can be positive and still not accept what he did. So she knows that when she gets into that state, that she's off track toward moving toward feeling peaceful, hopeful, and powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what about you? What situation are you dealing with that it doesn't have to be an affair, and it could be. It could be that, like we said last time, it could be being in a relationship with someone who makes lots of promises about how they're going to show up in partnership with you, and they don't do it.
Right.
That's the feeling of betrayal as well. If you looked at these 5 areas for yourself in terms of how you're managing emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and also relationship wise while you're getting all of this figured out, where do you stand on a scale of 1 to 10 for each category? And then when you look at your total, at least you know where you're starting. And when you know where you're starting, then you can develop a plan where you can take baby steps on a day by day basis to keep going. And, you know, you will be in what we call the gap. And uh, I was listening to Michael Beckwith one day. I don't know if he was on Oprah or was reading something that he said. And he was talking about the gap. I said, oh, yeah, we know about the gap because we talk about the gap all the time. And the gap is where you do the work. You know, the gap is where, I mean, because you can say stay in the comfort zone of distress and unhappiness, hopelessness, powerlessness, and that kind of thing, and anger. You can stay there, but it's so uncomfortable. And navigating to the results and the outcome that you want takes work and it takes time. So the space between where you are to where you want to be is the gap. You know, we also call it the valley of change. And so Michael Beckwith calls the gap God's area of preparation, preparing you to experience arriving at the destination. And once you arrive at the destination, it's not like you get there and then you're stagnant there. It's like you arrive at your destination and you fill up at your destination. And then you find out there's more that you can experience because more of the best part of you is showing up. And then you align with more of the best part of you that's showing up. And you just radiate with all of that. And people respond to that in such a positive way. People who don't even know you. I mean, you can just show up at the grocery store and what have you. And, you know, you just feeling positive. You know, I remember years ago when when it was like the year or two before we got married, and we were taking all these personal growth and spiritual growth classes. And so we were implementing a lot of things that we were learning. And so I remember that one of the things that we had learned about mindset and skill set was to be really focused at the feeling level of how you wanted to experience every moment. And so I think we were both saying that. So we decided that we were going to feel fantastic no matter what was going on, right? So at that time, I was working, we were both working at the school system, doing school community relations, and also we were doing some counseling too. So every time I went to work, and I loved my job too, every time I went to work and anybody would ask me how I was feeling, I would always say fantastic. And I really did because I got all prayed up for it with work, right? So there was the head custodian there, Mr. Whitehead. And Mr. Whitehead, he was sugar sharp every single day, right? I mean, this man has such pride in his work and such pride in his appearance. I mean, he was wonderful. I just loved him, right? And so, and his wife we found out that his wife went to our church as well. So anyway, so every day I would see Mr. Whitehead come in the morning. No, he would come in the afternoon. And when I would see him, I'd say, hey, Mr. Whitehead, how you doing? He said, I'm doing okay. He said, how you doing? I would say, fantastic. So after a while, when I would see him, before I could say anything, he would say, fantastic, right? So one day we went to dinner with him and his wife.
For his retirement.
For his retirement.
Right.
And so while we were at dinner, Mr. Whitehead was sharing with Jesse and his wife about our little exchange every single day. And he told them, he said, you know, Melva comes to work every single day, and every time I see her, she's saying she's feeling fantastic. He said, well, I would say it too, because she was saying it. He said, but I just want you to know, sometimes I was lying. So there's something contagious about feeling good in your own skin and showing up feeling the way that you want to feel in any situation. Even if you don't believe it in the moment, to just declare it and embrace it, you know. So and Mr. Whitehead, he's been gone. He passed away, I don't know, many years ago. Yeah. And I still remember that story, and that story still uplifts me and inspires me to stay on track when I'm having my rough days. So anyway, that's why I wanted to reinforce. Yes, that's why I wanted to reinforce how important it was to have your starting point. Yeah, go ahead.
And the other thing that he added to that, uh, to the story in terms about how he felt was, he said, you know, a lot of times I wasn't feeling all that great, but I would say that anyway, and I would feel better. So it was great that he took advantage of the opportunity to acknowledge his feelings about feeling great, and that made him feel better. So that's what we offer to you. You can say it even if you don't feel 100% like that, but just saying it supports you in turning your thoughts around and makes you feel better by just saying that.
Yeah, because your unconscious says yes to everything. So if you
Right.
say you're feeling fantastic, the unconscious says, "Oh, okay, boss," and helps you to find resources, a way to feel that way.
Right. Absolutely.
So creating a starting point, that's one of the reasons why creating a starting point is really important, to know where you are. You don't want to acknowledge, you don't want to be critical of it. You want to honor it. You want to validate it, that this is true for you, and you want to have compassion. And then you want to have a plan so that you have other options. So clarifying a starting point is important because it keeps you aware of whether you're on track or not. It helps you to be aware of when you take two steps forward and you take a step backwards. That's part of the growth process. Just knowing that that's part of the growth process and not giving yourself a hard time about it.
Right.
Okay, so it's your turn. Actually, I said it a couple of minutes ago, but I'll say it again. It's your turn to think about how you can apply establishing a starting point for yourself. Because a lot of times, we just live in day to day. We just live in routine on a day to day basis, and we just get stuck in day to day basis. There is more for us. There is more life, aliveness for us to feel within, no matter what is going on in our life. So, what did we cover this time? So we covered Veronica's story, part
Yeah.
4, and about bridging the gap. And we'll talk about the plan next time. That's going to be part 6.
How this supports your growth and transformation, your personal inventory, that is taking a look at yourself. And the neat thing about that, too, is that at any time you can declare, even I don't care how bad you feel, how low, whatever, you can make a conscious decision. I'm not going to live like this. I'm going to turn this around. And just by declaring that sets you in motion of actually doing that. Um, so,
I just thought about that song. Want to be free? That is how you
mhm,
can be free.
yeah,
And also, what Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. You can be who you want to be
absolutely.
in any moment, no matter what is going on. I'm thinking. I'm even thinking about. He just passed away. John Lewis.